sharper and more defined jawline is probably one of the best aesthetics you can have. Taking a totally unbiased facial analysis that's not led by unhealthy beauty standards or anything, it told me, yeah, you know what you need? More chin. And luckily, I'm not the only one, because recently on Douyin, people started injecting these unknown substances into their chin just to stretch it into that super sharp V.
Bro, it's fucking weird!
Shaped aesthetic. Except what started as a sharper chin started uncontrollably getting longer and longer. Which is how millions of people started ending up with these so-called deformed bubble chins, where your chin just starts drooping and growing downwards. Honestly, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now, how did this all start? You see, in traditional Chinese facial aesthetics theory, there's this thing called the golden ratio of the face. Basically, they divide your face into 3 horizontal sections, and in an ideal face, each section is supposed to take up roughly about 1/3 of your facial length. You know, so all sections are in harmony together, okay?
How come everything in China is kind of like going crazy these days, guys?
Everything needs to be harmonized nowadays. Now guess which section everybody suddenly became obsessed with? Yeah, the bottom half. No, the bottom half of your face. Because apparently your chin isn't just your chin anymore. It's now responsible for determining whether your face looks balanced, long enough, slim enough, feminine enough, you name it. And there's one celebrity that gets brought up over and over again, and that's Angelababy. She's basically treated as a blueprint for perfect facial proportions. Heart-shaped face, sharp jawline, balanced profile, everything matching those so-called golden ratio measurements that everyone's obsessing over. Whether she's had plastic surgery or not, that's been debated for years, and that's besides the point. The point is that she's become the reference image everyone is chasing. So if you naturally have a square-shaped face or a pear face, congratulations. You failed before the game even started. And I'm not even exaggerating either, because some of these beauty companies advertise that having a short chin disrupts the proportions of the upper and lower face. So you gotta make sure that you have a chin that can slice through anything. And this is why chin augmentation has exploded in popularity over the last few years. It was simple. You inject filler, most commonly hyaluronic acid, once again, into the chin, and it can either push your chin forward, make your face look longer, or create that super pointy V-shaped look that everyone was chasing.
What if somebody hits your chin, bro? Explode?
It was easy, cheap, convenient, and fast. Since you're not committing to permanent surgery, you're just trying it out. You get a new chin, you post your pictures, and it just slowly goes back to normal. No commitment at all, basically a free trial for your face. So naturally, people loved it. But then after a few months, some people's chins started getting swollen and started growing a bit longer than they'd like. Just a bit. So they went to dissolve the filler. And even afterwards, it just started growing longer and longer.
Oh my fucking god, and it's red!
Their chins just didn't seem to know.
Yo, bro, stop this shit! Stop this shit! Is this a meme? Bro, she does look like a guy from cartoon, bro!
Know when to stop, and over time gravity started pulling it downward until the entire lower half of the face
Giga Chad
was distorted, which is what eventually created a new variant of our bubble face disaster. It's like their little brother, the bubble chin effect. Now, of course, people start asking, what is going on? Okay, how is this even possible? Well, according to multiple reports, these people weren't actually getting ordinary filler anymore. Instead, many people ended up having baby face collagen and growth peptides injected into their chins. And these were promoted as a newer type of wrinkle removal filler that would supposedly stimulate the person's own cells. Okay, stimulate them to do what exactly?
下巴打了三角因子，现在越来越大。网络能找到帮我解决我这种问题，因为我去年在长沙，做了2次，但是没有做好。其实我一直在修复的路上，找不到真正能解决问题，千万要谨慎哈。所有那个产品如果里面有三角因子什么的，那就会跟我这样子后悔莫及。
Unlike normal temporary filler that just gradually disappears over time, this material behaved completely differently. Instead of being absorbed by the body, it stayed inside the tissue and started shifting around as well as harden and stimulate this abnormal growth. And combine that with the fact that your chin is constantly moving. Every day you're eating, talking, smiling, you're just making facial expressions. And over time, gravity starts pulling your chin downward and the filler also starts going lower and lower.
我下巴变成这样了，这个是我6年前打的玻尿酸，但是当时第一次做这种东西不太懂，然后也没有做功课，我就去了一个小美容院打的，这已经整整6年了都没有代谢掉。我不知道是因为那个人的技术问题，还是原材料的问题。好的时候，这个下巴也是凹凸不平的，然后不好的时候，比如说我熬夜啊，或者说上火，它这里就会肿肿胀胀的。我昨天晚上是喝了酒加熬夜，一觉醒来这里肿的跟鸡蛋一样，而且很硬，就是异物感很明显，而且我没有办法张大嘴说话，也不能笑了，只要一用力，这里就很疼。我的嘴巴也是，我要刻意的闭上它才能合起来，不然它就是半开的，因为这很重啊。刚刚我吃了消炎药了，但不知道有没有用。你们有碰到过这种情况吗？这该怎么办？
And it somehow gets even worse because some people started developing bone resorption. Basically, the bone inside your chin can start thinning away, and this is exactly what happened to a Chinese influencer named Yaki. At just 16 years old, Yaki roughly paid 1,000 RMB for 2 chin injections, and it was simple, hyaluronic
Bro, like, why, bro? Do your research before trying something new. What the fuck?
acid, the same thing everybody else was getting. It was safe. And immediately afterward, everything looked great. Her face looked noticeably longer and the natural V shape was there. But then something happened that at first she was actually happy about because the filler didn't go away. You see, hyaluronic acid is supposed to be absorbed by the body and dissolve after a couple months. And months passed and her chin didn't change at all. At first she thought, wow, what an amazing deal, right? Wait, everybody else has to keep paying for maintenance, but mine is still here? Talk about the worst buy one get one free deal. Because eventually her chin slowly started changing shape. It started swelling really bad and she experienced constant itching and redness. And slowly her chin started going downward. And real quick, this is all very dangerous, we know that, but having your data leaked is also bad. If you Google yourself right now, you might find your name, your address, all exposed by these sketchy data brokers. And this is why incognito, just do it once because it's most useful. And through the report, I guarantee if you're not money for 60% off the annual plan. Just go to incognito day after day and it kept, now let's get back into it. It just kept getting longer and longer day after day and it kept bulging, which eventually led her to that bubble chin appearance. This damage started affecting how her mouth actually functioned and her lower lip wouldn't even open properly anymore. So for
like
several days,
some water, like liquid.
Her mouth was essentially stuck in one position. She couldn't eat really, and moving or talking with her mouth was almost impossible. And she was stuck living with it for years as her bone in the chin kept thinning and weakening. And netizens were like, why doesn't she just remove it? Like, why doesn't she just dissolve the filler? Well, that assumes that what's inside her chin is actually filler. A lot of these bubble chin cases happened when people went to these unregulated beauty salons who use cheap counterfeit products. So if you don't actually know what was injected, how are you supposed to dissolve it? Whatever filler was injected could start spreading to multiple layers of tissue and even start mixing with other components of your chin. And every single time doctors cut into the area to do like a repair, it would create another injury. So, you know, you'd think people would just take a step back for a bit, okay? Just stop this, right? Unfortunately, it got even crazier because people who ended up with these bubble chins decided to take matters into their own hands to remove it themselves.
Oh.
With scissors. Because there's another case that came out in June 2020.
This is like the women's, you know, like with this will of beauty. They want to be beautiful. They want to look more attractive, and then do some crazy cheek operations, plastic surgery that makes them less beautiful.
And this one genuinely sounds like a horror movie. It involved a woman in Nanjing named Miss Deng. Now, she was already trying to repair a previously failed bubble chin injection. She spent years trying to fix it. She searched on Douyin, Xiaohongshu, worst possible decision, by the way. And then she kept seeing posts from this one clinic page called Suzhou Yumei Medical Aesthetics. Every single patient they did had perfect results. Almost too perfect. I mean, if you take a look at their profile, they specifically advertise experience in repairing bubble chins involving these so-called growth peptides. Not only that, but they claimed that they had specialized filler repair technology. Foreign substances stuck in your face? Easy. Complicated repairs that nobody wants to touch? This guy lives for it. So Ms. Deng traveled there for a consultation, and the price? 20,000 yuan. So definitely not cheap at all. And after a couple of weeks of thinking, she agreed to it. And this is where everything started going downhill. I'll explain this in the least gruesome way possible, okay? Basically, they took a hot needle and then they started using it to drag her chin back and forth. Yeah, I'm not a surgeon, but you know, if somebody tells me that they're going to take a hot burning needle and scrape it on my chin back and forth, I think I'll just live with it, honestly. Just 3 days later, large blisters started forming around her chin, and the doctors saw this, saw what was happening, and they basically told her, that's normal, just trust the process. And this is where they sent her home with instructions and Chinese ointment. Except the instructions they gave her to treat it at home were to use scissors to cut it off herself. Yeah, this is absolutely insane. And not even medical scissors either. So every day she cleaned the wound and would just start trimming at it every single day. And the wound, it kept getting bigger. And then signs of infection started appearing.
I mean, like, no one. I mean, like, yeah, duh. And she even paid money for this?
And despite all of that, they kept reassuring her that if she kept cutting away at it, it would heal. I mean, it makes sense, right? Your body will start adapting to it as you trim it, and reverse curse technique, yeah. This continued for another month and a half, and at that point, her chin deteriorated so badly that a large hole had actually formed in her chin. And it left Miss Ding with a really massive scar that spanned over 6 centimeters across her chin. This was honestly brutal because she even said that this completely destroyed her life.
She doesn't really look that ugly. What have you done?
For those 6 months. And on June 17th, a reporter accompanied Miss Ding to go back to Yume Medical Aesthetics to see what was up. You'd expect some kind of explanation or some accountability. Instead, when they arrived, the doors were locked and the windows were shut. Sitting at the entrance was a notice saying that the business is currently undergoing renovations and was temporarily closed. Of course it was. I mean, it's always renovations. They're just renovating how to cover up this case. But man, the timing was comical because the clinic that just announced that they had revolutionary filler repair technology literally just shut down in less than a year. And this is where people started looking at these failed cases of these bubble chins.
I'm sorry, but she looked like a fucking monster, bro.
And these filler injections. And they said, you know why there are so many failed cases of these injections? You know why bubble chins even exist? Because they're not permanent. So they moved on to using chin implants. Basically, a lot of...
Stop doing that shit, bro. Just leave the way you were born. God damn it, bro. Some people say it's like I have a good chin. Guys, should I get a bubble chin? Peptide. God.
People saw what was happening with these bubble chins, and many of them gradually shifted to getting actual implants. It's not liquid, right? It's not filler. It's literally permanent. During a procedure, the doctor will make a small incision inside of the mouth rather than outside because this will avoid scarring.
This is fucking scary, bro. Like, what the fuck? You're gonna put knife in your fucking mouth, bro? Oh, God.
That's one of the reasons why these chin implants are being marketed as being discreet. You just choose the implant and then it's directly placed into your jaw to either push it more forward or just completely change your side profile. Finally, the perfect solution. No more revisiting the clinic every couple months. No more bubble chins. Instead, you just install one permanent chin. But the reality is, it can get even worse.
What the fuck, bro? Like, okay. You thought this was gonna be beautiful? Putting this in there? Are you kidding me? Hey, look at this person's face. You are not that... You're kind of beautiful. You look pretty, bro. What happened? You want more?
Because the implant can start absorbing into your bone. This is where many cases of bone erosion started happening because the implant started sinking into the bone itself. Not just that, but this patient here actually developed the protruding teeth because the implant was severely compressing the roots of the person's teeth. And the implant started pulling the entire mouth outward. Yeah, that is
Yeah,
insane.
it's gonna be
Yeah,
like
this is
this.
one of the reasons why most
Okay.
hospitals don't even do implant-based chin augmentation. And it's not because the doctors can't do it. The risks are just way too high and complicated. Of course, not every chin injection ends up with someone developing a bubble chin. There are legitimate medical professionals. But it's slowly becoming harder and harder for the average person to tell the difference. You can spend hours researching, looking at reviews, before and after photos,
Yeah.
and you could still not even know what exactly you're walking into. And if anything goes wrong, good luck fighting a company funded by millions. I mean, what are they gonna do? Investigate themselves? Yeah, they're gonna do everything they can to cover it up. So yeah, once again, another bubble variant has emerged, and hopefully this time it doesn't get as bad as before and people, see the red flags and stay away from it, because at this point it's becoming like Pokemon evolutions. And taking a look back at my facial analysis from earlier, yeah, it does tell me that I will benefit from a longer and sharper V-line chin. But it also says that I will look great being bald. Yeah, I don't know about that one. At this point, they're just trying to get rid of the competition.
One thing I'm gonna say is that I'm not getting any plastic surgery, guys.